All right, let's start, guys. Welcome to this session. Make sure you are here for the monetizing your application using CF Abacus session and not for another one. If you are, it's still okay to sit, but maybe you want to change, right? My name is Pankaj Kumar. I'm from SAP, product manager in Cloud Platform group. So monetizing your applications. As engineers, as software developers, we love to develop code or write products. Some of us would work without money as well. How many of you would work without money and just write code? None? Oh man, you guys are all professionals. So yeah, so everybody wants money, right? So let's say over here euros, and so that we can buy gifts or buy a car or home or a smartphone. So monetization is important. And there are various models of monetization. Think of, for example, let's say SAP Cloud Platform or Google or Pivotal. There will be platform providers where they are more, this is traditional use case where you want to pay for what you use. So I use so much runtime, I used so much memory or database, so pay per use. For customers, and that's the most traditional one. In platform providers, there is another one coming up where I am a user of a public cloud and I want to keep a tab on my costs. So, for example, AWS charges me this much. I pay them about, let's say, 200K every month, and I want to see where my costs are going. I mean, maybe optimize on that and run certain workloads less. So there is monetization on the platform provider side, but I'm seeing these trends among platform application developers or application developers where they want to optimize the cost. So that's another use case where CF Abacus or billing engines can be used. Then internal developers, the middle one. So as SAP Cloud Platform, we ask our internal developers to use our platform. Like if you are developing, let's say, an application, and you want to put that application on Cloud Platform, you want to charge them back. It could be that you as a platform provider organization in your company has bought the platform and you pay the bills, but then there are various organizations that use it inside your company and you want to charge them back. So that's another monetization model. Third one would be that you are ISV or a developer of APIs and you want to host your API somewhere and then get paid for those APIs. So these are various monetization models prevalent among inside industry. Today we will see this whole chain from metering or where the applications are being metered to all the way to invoices. And I'll present one case of how I think. That's just one case. These are some of the productive examples in the industry. Netflix published a series of blog posts on how they use how their billing engine looks like. So it's a Cassandra-based, MySQL-based, custom in-house solution. It used to be based on Oracle DB. They just changed it like a year back. So total custom solution. Twitter has a couple of videos on their solution, how they charge back their internal developers for the platform that they use. Hybris as a service is something that we use internally, and that's another way to use it. So these are productive solutions in the in industry. Now, the topic for this talk was CF Abacus and revenue engine. So CF Abacus is one side. So how many people have attended Bosch sessions, any Bosch session today? So Bosch helps you with which operations? Day 1, day 2? Day 1 to make the applications run beautifully, and day 2 to keep it running. So I call CF Abacus helping with day 30 problems. Now I need to charge my customers. So that's my day 30 problem after a month. It's a collection of microservices. Primarily, I mean, they are written in Node.js. So You can look at, starting from left, there's an event collector, so something happens in your app. It could be a service. So over there, you will send a usage to this microservice, and it will collect it as an event. This is not too different from when you make a cell phone call, somebody records it, that not record as in the recording an NSA or GCHQ, but more in the traditional sense that it's a CDR, call data record created, that this guy called over here. So that's the usage collection event. Then it gets metered, how much it was used for, like 60 minutes, 30 minutes. Then accumulator, so aggregator. Maybe you want to collect the events. So what's the typical cycle for cell phone plans? A month. So you want to accumulate. Maybe you can keep sending that, but more or less you typically accumulate those usage events, and then you send it for reporting. So that's what CF Abacus does. Now, CF Abacus is an open source project. SAP contributes to it, was started by IBM. It's still in a very developer-friendly manner. Like you as developer will be able to clone it and run it and figure out how things work, and I'll also go into those things, how it works. But when you take it to money part, that is dealt by the business people most of the time, sometimes affectionately known as bean counters. So those folks, they want to have a more nicer way to deal with things, maybe a commercial off-the-shelf billing system. There are many available. I'll use example of SAP Revenue Cloud, where we are using this to bill our customers. So when you buy a product from, what's the popular, in US it's Amazon.com, the product is bought and you are charged at the very minute. Like you buy a thing, there's no continued relationship with the customer. In case of subscriptions on usage-based billing, there's a continued relationship with the customer, right? I mean, even newspapers were subscriptions, right? So you have a continued relationship with the customer. So it's different from selling discrete products. So there are various things that come into picture. So billing engines bring in the concept of a customer in case of, in this scenario, that I need to have a relationship with this customer over a longer amount of time. Then I may be using certain things from Cloud Foundry, and then maybe certain other things from some other provider, and I want to consolidate that invoice. A good example to think of that would be, think of a cable provider, a TV cable provider, as well as who's also an internet provider. Now you have two different departments sending usage events to the same. So CF Abacus cannot help you there to consolidate these events into a single invoice. So billing engines help you there. So that's where we will use our billing engine. And the billing engine that I'm going to talk about is called SAP Hybris Revenue Cloud. As I said, there are many available over here. This is just being from SAP. We are using that. It's a microservices-based billing engine. It runs on Cloud Foundry. It provides configure, price, quote, services, subscription billing, and then back-end integration with various finance solutions. So it sends to, of course, SAP ERP. You could take these things and send it to other ERPs as well. So here's the flow. So we will look at CF Abacus a little bit. Then we will also go into the Revenue Cloud. That will be part of my demo. Typically what will happen is a developer or somebody is using some usage is happening. It could be some usage happening in a cloud platform where you are using certain resources, maybe application runtime, maybe making certain API calls to object storage or something like that, right? So that app usage happens, metering is captured in CF Abacus, and then it is sent to billing engine for billing, and then invoice comes out. So that's a typical cycle. It could be even for your telecom, that you make a call, it is captured by the elements, goes to a metering solution, goes to a billing solution, and you get your monthly invoice. Just for fun's sake, I'll take the example of feed. There was a really nice novel written by M.T. Anderson. It's for really young adults, but I still consider myself a young adult, so I read it. Any guesses based on like just the picture? What would that novel be about? So this is about a world where the feed is real, in the sense that there are no input devices and no output devices. Like keyboard for me is input device. If I need to do a Google search, I need to input from the keyboard, and monitor is my output that I look at over here. What if there was a chip implanted in my brain that I just think of, do a Google search, and then the results come back again to my brain? No, I mean, that's a beautiful scenario. I mean, I don't know if you find it beautiful or not, but it is. So that novel happens over there. It's a very small novel, beautiful one. So in this, we will, I took some inspiration from Matrix, and we will download a new skill. So there's an API for download a new skill. Maybe I want to learn a new language. Play a in-mind game. So just play a game in my mind. So that's another API call that I will be making. I want to monetize these calls. And then maybe make a chat. It could be a VR chat happening in my mind again, or it could be a simple IM messages, but still happening in my mind, right? So these are the APIs that I want to monetize. It could be any APIs, frankly. I mean, it could be monetize how much runtime I have used. But just for fun, let's use this when the feed is real. So in this demo, I have Abacus running locally on my notebook. I'll demo concepts of customer and measures on Revenue Cloud. So I'll jump onto the revenue side. I'll do some API usages, submit some usages to CF Abacus running locally. Then I'll take a cinematic license, meaning from CF Abacus, I need this collected usage to be sent to Revenue Cloud. So typically this would happen using some kind of a, let's say, integration solution, some middleware broker. I will just think that I am doing it right away. And then usage will be sent to Revenue Cloud, and invoice will be on the Revenue Cloud. So let's jump right there. Let me start CF Abacus. It's starting in demo mode. I mean, my little baby version of CF Abacus, which is running a pouch server. So as I said, it's Node.js services, just npm.start. It starts bunch of services. As long as pouch server, the thing is running. It's really, really smart over here. I mean, the profile that I'm using is small. Now I want to send a usage. So for that, I'll need current time. I mean, being a geek, we should all know what's the current time in Epoch, right? But I'm ashamed of myself. I have to copy from there. So let's say this is the usage that I'm going to send. And you may be wondering, like, where did I get this format from? This is legible? Yes. So I'm going to just say this event happened right now. As you can see, I'm sending some measures, which is IM skill download API calls, and just all of them are 30, 50, and 50. So now if I send it, before that, let's check something really quick. So there's nothing over here, no DB file exists, means nothing, because I just started CF Abacus. It has not even created a database. So when I submit this, and that's the beauty of, you always, it's going to work or not, but luckily it worked. So now if I go back over here, I'm just checking all the docs, something like MongoDB that are there. So there is one usage that came over here. Of course, now I can go further and check these values, but this is just one value that got submitted in this. So let's say PouchDB, one value have been inserted. Now, typically this would happen over a month, and you will get an aggregated report that you can see from, again, Abacus. So I'm going to make another call. You can see it's to localhost, and I have hard-coded these over here. So I can, if I do this, then you can see that IM skill download API call is 30. It even gives me the cost, and I talk about why it gives me the cost. Then pricing for the another skill. So skill download API calls. Now how did CF Abacus know about it? Like all these, how did I implemented my API calls? For that, I'll quickly go into code over here. So if you clone CF Abacus repository, there are two particular directories that you just need to pay attention to. One is called provisioning plugin, and another is called mapping. You can see that directory is a little bit over here. So this is the root directory of when I cloned CF Abacus, and then lib, plugins, and provisioning, and in that there is this provisioning, and then if I go over here, there is a plans directory. This contains everything that I need to set up my plan, which means if I look over here, you can see I have defined 3 measures over here. Remember, I was talking about 3 API calls to be monetized. These are the measures. I could have called them, you know, Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3, but just for description's sake, I call them this. And that's what I need to send from my, when I send that using Postman over here. And similarly, you define various other things over here. So for example, I can define pricing over here. As you can see, this is available in IM skill download API calls is available in USA, Europe, and Canada, various prices. Now something to remember, CF Abacus does a lot of things for you. It does the metering, it can also do the pricing, which means it can come up with a amount to be charged. It's up to you how you want to use it. In our case at SAP, we are just using it for metering because we are using the other engine, which is, as I said earlier, Revenue Cloud for us. So I'm already logged in. Hopefully the session is still alive. If not, then okay. So the session, so I'm logged into Revenue Cloud. It has a full, let's say, concept of creating quotes, so your salespeople can create quotes and submit to customer, which creates orders. So I already have a customer that I created over here. The customer is called CF Summit. I'm going to use this to create a quote quickly. And so if I put this, this is not going to take me too much time. Valid from here to here. And I want to put a product. So I had created 3 products in the back, again in configuration. So you can see IM skill downloads, IM gameplay and chat. For this, I'll just use IM skills download. And it's just quantity 1. When do I want it to be valid? Subscription to be valid from 1st October. These validities become tricky when you are implementing these solutions. Typically, all of this happens using API calls. Just for demonstration, doing it from the UI. Most of the time, your provisioning system will set up these using API calls. So now I'll save this code. So right now I'm playing the part of a sales guy. I am going to say release it, then send it to customer. These are all basic, processes that happen maybe over a week period, except by the customer. I'm accepting on his behalf or her behalf. And now it's like customer has accepted and I'm going to send and create an order. That's the real order process. I'm going to use invoice. It could be a credit card order also. So far we only support invoice, and over here the order actually creates a subscription. So if I go back and look at my order, so this was the order that I just created. As you can see, there's this thing over here. Takes a little bit, 1 minute or so to create it into a subscription. So any questions so far? And it is created as a subscription. So if I look over here, that's my subscription. I'm looking for one particular ID over here. So the measure that I'm going to send, in my earlier talk, in the CF Abacus session, I talked about IM calls and IM calls and game calls or chat calls, right? In this over here, I'm just saying API call because I already know that this is the IM skills download. Now, I will go into my Postman and send a usage or send a, let's say, this particular this particular usage to be invoiced. I needed this bearer token, so let's get that, because otherwise I won't be authenticated. So in the header, let me put this token over here. Now I'm making a call, API call, and I'll use that this UID so that I only make this call. So it gets attached to that. So let's put this over here. And last time we made 50 calls in a month. So let's send that. So now this is being sent to for billing or invoicing, right? So here I send this, and it is sent. I can show over here, if I go into billing data, this customer right over here, the call was for $1 and I made 50 calls. I can send some more and just bill at the end of the month. So if I add, let's say, a really nice number, 42, and now look at it. It's overriding. So I am doing something wrong. Maybe I'm sending. All right, that's what happens in live demos. No need to worry. All right, I'm not going to worry about too much about that. So what finally, these are aggregated and sent as an invoice to the customer based on the frequency that you have developed. So we started with the API calls in your application, which can call certain CF Abacus APIs that will be metered inside CF Abacus. You take those aggregated records, and either you can keep sending every day at the end of the day, or you can aggregate and just send them once in a month. And then it gets into the engine, which will generate invoices for your customer, and then further processes follow. So that's the basic flow of sending API monetization calls through Abacus to revenue engines. That was all I wanted to cover in this. Any questions? Yep.
I didn't quite understand how Abacus integrates with CF. So is this a push-based mechanism, somehow based on firewalls or something?
Yeah. So good question. CF Abacus comes with a service broker for Cloud Foundry. So you can install that service broker with your Cloud Foundry, and then you use that service. So you get it directly from Cloud Foundry, that usage. So it integrates that way. So it's not even a push or pull based. You can say it's pull based by Abacus itself based on certain frequency, because it will use that broker. That's for CF itself. So if your APIs are all, or if your consumption is totally inside Cloud Foundry, then that works great. If it is outside, then you need to call APIs to CF Abacus. Any further questions? All right, if no more questions, then thanks for attending my session. Yeah.